for round 2 of the Grassy Knoll, and with us for both the first hour and that second hour is the I-Man. We're going to call this parts 5 and 6, and we want to remind you, you're listening to the Grassy Knoll, and we're broadcasting from the Pines of Braddock, and not up on AM 1400. They got a little problem, and a lot of people, as you well know, who've been listening through the stream have had problems, and so until that gets remedied, we'll do it from here, and I think things will be just as fine. If you want to get in touch with us, but I got a question for you from somebody out there that I hope we can start off with, but you can also contact us through MSN Messenger, Visigoth, or at Yahoo Messenger at BYZ1400, or shoot an email at me at visigoth@hotmail.com. That's BYZYGOTH. And so, can I hit you with a question, I-Man?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
If I can answer it.
Oh no, well, hey, that's okay. If you can't, that's fine. I think it also deals somewhat with the 14th Amendment situation. So let me kind of get through this verbiage. And all right, here we go. Let's see. It may be a statement as well. So whatever you got, okay?
Okay.
All right, fair enough. Let's see. Now that we know that we have been screwed, so to speak, concerning the founding documents, the founding fathers, Rome, and especially the 14th Amendment, should we not have dumped the king? Would we have been better off now with hindsight? Because now with Bush, who is a descendant from both the House of Lancaster and the House of York, and is related to Queen Elizabeth I, Queen of England, 1558-1603, and is King George. And that's a lot to bite off, but do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, that's what we found in the archives in Raleigh, where we went, and that'd be another whole 3 months of radio show. But yeah, let me try to answer that without getting too far off.
Okay.
But when you asked about the 14th Amendment before, further on in this book, in my letter, I'll bring in some stuff reverting back to your question where you asked about being charged in the state, and then,
Yeah, let's not lose sight of that, right.
All right. There is comments in the book on that, exactly. But now this is a case that another researcher just sent me, what I was trying to get, he got for me. And it is the County of Santa Clara versus Southern Pacific Railroad. The people of the state of California versus the Central Pacific and Southern Pacific. It was May 10th, 1886. And it is can be cited as Supreme Court 18 Federal Reporters 385. No, that's a footnote. I'm sorry, that's a footnote. This comes out of Volume 6, October term, 1885. And you can get it from the National Reporter System, St. Paul West Publishing Company. The library numbers, I got reference numbers, is KF 101 S8 115 117. That's if you go to the library, law library. Now, this case is quite lengthy, and buried back on page 1139, there is a comment in here by the court that will answer some of your 14th Amendment questions as to corporations or people. And coming down, it's a special grounds of defense for each of the defendants were, and then it goes in and explains what they were. Number 2, that the provisions of the Constitution and laws of California in respect to the assessment for taxation of the property of the railway corporations operating railroads in more than one country are in violation of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution insofar as they require the assessment of their property at its full money value without making deduction, as in the case of railroads operating in one country, and of other corporations and of natural persons for the value of the mortgages covering the property assessed, thus imposing upon the defendant, as a corporation, unequal burdens and to that extent denying to it the equal protection of the law. Right there is stating that the 14th Amendment was applied to corporations. 1885.
All right, what did that do to burden the citizens?
Okay, well, it took the due process,
right,
and that's what they're talking about here, and this is where the due process was applied to the people in the states, but not the federal government. In other words, you're in a state, you're in Florida, and you do something down there, and you claim the Fifth Amendment or the First Amendment or the Fourth or whatever you want, only if it meets due process requirements will you get it through the 14th Amendment, which was made strictly for the black people. No matter what anybody says, when you do the research, you'll find that the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th was strictly for blacks.
All right, now please expand on that, because that's a pretty interesting statement. Some people say that the 13th Amendment freed the blacks and the 14th enslaved us all.
Well, yeah, the 14th, what it did was it gave the blacks, the blacks were freed, but what have they got? They have nothing.
That's right.
And that's where the 14th Amendment came in, to give them the rights that the, quote, white people had before the 14th Amendment. Because actually before the 14th Amendment, way before the Constitution was formed, blacks could vote, blacks could hold office and had military office, everything, you know. And when the Constitution was drafted, they declared them 3/5 of a person and made them slaves. Even the people that had the money, that had the property, and so on and so forth. But people don't realize that.
Well, so in other words, the 14th Amendment then, again, probably capitalized on bringing the blacks into full citizen status. Is that correct?
Yeah, because you see, it says all persons, now these are artificial entities, born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. All right. So breaking that down, the black people then, they resided within the state, but they were citizens of the United States because they were liberated by the United States. Therefore, the United States had to see that they had due process of law. So they drafted the 14th Amendment and brought all the Bill of Rights in for the 14th Amendment as long as they met the due process provisions. Now, due process does not mean a jury trial or indictment. They are out the window. The Bill of Rights don't apply to jury trials, so you can argue you're blue in the face that you want a jury trial under the Bill of Rights, and you ain't going to get it.
You know, this reminds me, I think you sent me an email probably a month or so ago that discussed the I guess precarious verbiage that was in, a certain clause. I mean, you really pulled it apart, and I'm trying to figure out what that was. Do you remember? I mean, somebody pulled...
was that Section 3 or 4 of the 14th Amendment, or what?
Well, yeah, okay, very good. It did exactly address itself to the 14th Amendment.
Okay.
And pulled it apart. I'm telling you what, it was a headache to try to figure that thing out.
Yep, that's where diagramming sentences comes in.
Well, you're right. Now, I don't think it was you that did that, but somebody did it, I think, and you concurred.
I think it was James Montgomery.
All right, James did it, and you found it solid.
Yeah. Yep. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, Section 4, well, Section 3 is even worse. Section 4, the validity of the public debt shall not be questioned. So a citizen can't question the public debt.
And
that's right in Section 4 of the 14th Amendment.
Right.
Now, in the third section, the one part down there, No person shall be a senator, representative, blah, 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 in support of the Constitution, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. Well, you can only vote if you're in rebellion to the United States, and they take an oath, the courts take an oath on the Constitution and the 14th Amendment that if they rule in our favor, we are the enemy, they are now given aid or comfort to the enemy if they rule for us and against the government. That's basically what that says right there.
Yeah, well, basically
Section 3.
We've lost this. Yeah, that's exactly what I had read. But, I mean, we're kind of lost in all that. Can you straighten everything out in a straight line and tell us what that, really means?
We're screwed.
Well, we kind of know that, but...
Yeah.
but